welcome to this talk about the mosaics of Chester Cathedral. I'm Rachel Davis and I'm the chair of the British Association for Modern Mosaic, and I'm joined today by Alita Doran, who's the artist in residence at Chester Cathedral. So today we're just going to have a chat about some of the mosaics at Chester Cathedral. There's so many beautiful mosaics and other artworks in the building, and talk a little bit about the upcoming exhibition that BAM have got planned for 2022. So Alita, hi there, how are you doing?
Hi Rachel, great, thanks.
So we were going to have a little bit of chat first of all. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about being an artist in residence, because you're artist in residence at Chester Cathedral. So tell me a little bit about what that role involves.
Right, so I became artist in residence in January 2019, and really at the time what I wanted to do was just make sure that I could draw visitors' attention to the mosaics. As you say, we've got an amazing collection of mosaics there, and it just felt important because sometimes, you know, when you go on tours of buildings like this, I think mosaics are a bit overlooked. You know, you might look at the stained glass or other features, but I wanted to make sure that they definitely looked at the mosaics and engaged with them and worked. And we talked about how they were made. And I often take some samples with me of the marble and the smarty, just so they can hold them and really appreciate the material itself.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds really interesting. Has it changed how you work as an artist by being sort of an artist in residence in a particular building?
Yeah, I think it has in ways that I never really anticipated. As I've become used to building and I've spent more time there, I've begun to look at not just at the mosaics, but at the building itself. And so, you know, walking around with my sketchbook and my camera, you begin to notice things that you probably never noticed before just as a visitor. And in fact, I've started to look at the building itself, the geometry of it, the way it's constructed, the stained glass. Just recently done a course about the vaults of the cathedral, drawing the geometry of those designs. So it's broadened my work, and it's been a really lovely process to understand the language of that building.
So it sounds really interesting. And I think before we go on and talk in a little bit more detail about some of the mosaics, you've made a short film as a kind of introduction and lead up to that. So I think what we'll do first is take a look at that. And then you've got some other pictures and images of things at the cathedral that we can talk through in a bit more detail. So let's just take a look at this this film that you've made to start off with.
In early 2022, the British Association for Modern Mosaic are holding an exhibition in the chapter house of Chester Cathedral. We hope to showcase beautiful examples of modern mosaic, responding to the theme Constellations. This short video describes the venue. Chester Cathedral was originally a Benedictine abbey, established by Hugh Lupus, the Earl of Chester, in 1093 and dedicated to St Werburgh. It was extensively remodelled by George Gilbert Scott in the late 19th century. It is a beautiful building with ornate ceilings and tiled pavements. The architecture is an engaging combination of medieval and modern. Chester Cathedral is home to a fine collection of Victorian mosaics. In the nave there is a very large marble wall mosaic designed by John Clayton of Clayton & Bell and executed by Burke & Co. The reredos is a detailed Last Supper in beautiful condition. Again designed by John Clayton, this mosaic was made by Salviati. There is another collaboration between John Clayton and Salviati in the St Erasmus Chapel. This highly decorative mosaic suffered considerable damage due to damp, but has recently been restored. Just before the pandemic, another mosaic was rediscovered beneath the carpet in the baptistry. It is a beautiful design, but in a very fragile state. Restoration of this mosaic is ongoing. In the cloister garth, there is a sculpture installed to celebrate the 900th anniversary of the foundation of the abbey. The Water of Life is by sculptor Stephen Broadbent. At the cathedral there are some beautiful stained glass windows, including these modern examples. The Great West window, shown here, dates from 1961 and was made by Carter Shapland. This vibrant abstract design was made by Alan Younger. The creation window in the refectory of the cathedral was installed for the millennium. It was made by Rosalind Grimshaw. Cathedral visitors are always drawn to the cobweb picture, which is painted on the net of the caterpillar. The painting comes from the Tyrol. Here I have included some details from the stained glass on a variety of themes, featuring creatures, flowers, stars, music and pilgrimage. The glazed cloister has examples by Nicholson, Eden and local artist Trina Cox. Throughout the cathedral there are also windows by Kemp, Clayton and Bell and Heaton, Butler and Bain. A comprehensive illustrated catalogue of the cloister windows can be accessed via the cathedral website. Angels inhabit every corner of the cathedral. In the Archangel window by Powell's in the south transept, in the Archangel window by Frederick Eden in the cloister, and the wooden carvings of the choir. Ranulph Higden, a Benedictine monk at Chester, depicted here in a beautiful window by Trina Cox, wrote the Polychronicon. These images reflect the stunning illumination of this 14th century manuscript. I hope this short film has given you a flavour of Chester Cathedral. Further images can be found here.
So that was a great introduction to the mosaics at the cathedral, and as you can see, there's just so much to see there. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the mosaics that you find the most interesting? I think you've got images to share. Do you want to just go ahead and share some of those and tell us a bit more?
Yes, of course. Before I show you the slides, I just wanted to mention that in this copy of Andamento, it's volume 3, it's from 2009, there's a really, really excellent article I highly recommend by Robert Field about the mosaics, and it has really beautiful illustrations. So that's a really good resource if you need to find out more about the mosaics at Chester Cathedral.
Yeah, and I think that particular edition, the images from that that are in that article are really good images of those marble mosaics in the cathedral, aren't they? I think we were talking before we came on about how difficult sometimes they are to photograph. So those ones are...
That's right. I think with the lighting that you often have nowadays in churches and cathedrals, it kind of bleaches the colour, and especially with those marble mosaics, the colour's so subtle anyway that it's quite hard to photograph under that lighting. So the photographs in there, I think, are the best I've seen.
Brilliant.
They're really excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's other articles in that Journal of Andamento as well about other aspects, other mosaics and other aspects of mosaic as well. So, if you are interested in buying a copy, that's available to buy on the BAM website, and we'll add a link into that, when we've finished recording. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. So tell us a bit more. Show us some pictures, and tell us a bit more about some of the mosaics in the cathedral.
Okay, so this is the view down the nave from the Great West Door. And as you can see, it's an absolutely beautiful space. When I first became artist in residence at Chester, I think I was quite awestruck by just being present in this building.
I can imagine it's a very, very impressive building, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. I'd get there first thing in the morning, and you'd hear the organ being rehearsed, and then you'd see this team of people that would bring this building to life. It's just, it is, the awestruck is the word. You just feel so privileged to be in this space. So at the side, the north wall of the nave is this enormous marble wall mosaic. And I hope this photo particularly gives you a sense of the scale of this piece. It stretches, it's vast, and it stretches most of the length of the nave. These mosaics date from 1886, and they were designed by John Clayton of Clayton & Bell, made by Burke and Company. And as we mentioned before, the soft muted tones of the marble here often lead visitors, in fact, to think that they're frescoes or wall paintings of some sort. They only really identify them as mosaics when they get really close to them and see the pieces. The 4 panels that this is divided up into, they depict the Old Testament prophets, Abraham, Moses, David, and Elijah. Now, if I move us on to the next slide, each of these 4 panels has this same compositional structure, and it creates an illusion of an architectural setting for the action. So the prophet appears in a niche with his name written beneath in mosaic. In this case, it's David. And on either side, he is flanked by scenes from his life. And the biblical text relating to those scenes is again written in mosaic just beneath the image. An upper register, as you can see, contains angels and other biblical figures relating to the prophet in another architectural setting. Now, here, this is one of my favourite scenes from this mosaic. This is the depiction of the sacrifice of Isaac in the Abraham panel. And the thing I like about this is it gives a real sense of the movement and gesture. These mosaics are so dynamic, and they are just magnificent. And I think this, with these great outstretched wings from these angels, it gives a real sense of that movement.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
So much detail in it all as well.
Absolutely. Now, over the years, these mosaics have become a little bit dull and dirty, and they've been cleaned recently. And I've included this detail of the pattern, which is the lowest register of the mosaic, just because it gives you a real sense of how clean and clear the colours are since they've been cleaned. And this is Chester Cathedral have these events called the Cathedral by Candlelight. And they're lovely things because you get to see the architecture lit by lamps and candles. And it's just lovely to see, particularly the mosaics lit in this gentle light. Unfortunately, I haven't got any pictures of the gold mosaics, but you can just see what a difference this kind of light makes to these beautiful mosaics.
It's very atmospheric, isn't it?
They're just beautiful events. Everything, the arches, everything about it looks lovely lit this way. Now, this is a view of the high altar, and this is our second mosaic. Here, you're actually looking through the arch into the Lady Chapel of the cathedral, and the vault in there is really interesting. I've recently drawn the geometry of that, and also just to notice, on the floor there are these patterned tiles that I talked about in my video, beautiful flooring there. And on the high altar there, you can see the second mosaic, which is by Clayton & Bell, again by John Clayton. And it's made by the Venetian firm of Salviati. It dates from 1876. It's in absolutely beautiful condition, and it really glows in the sunlight. And I think in these images, you can see really the attention paid to the detail on the architecture. Here's a close-up, just tremendously ornate piece of work. If I move forward to these, you can see as well, the detail, the intricacy of the pattern on the floor, on the cloth, on the hair, on the tablecloth there. It really is a fantastically decorative piece. And I think this must be the most magnificent and unruly beard in the entire cathedral. But it just shows you the sort of delicacy and intricacy of this piece.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's just so much detail and all the different sort of just subtle colours to create that.
That's exactly. And again here,
it's hand, just all the
yeah. It
amazing.
really does demonstrate the quality of this work. Now, the third mosaic is this cycle of mosaics in the St. Erasmus Chapel. This was again designed by John Clayton, and again made by Salviati, dates from 1879. The whole chapel is dedicated to the memory of the railway contractor Thomas Brassey, who was local to this area. He lived in the local village of Aldford, and in fact the parish church in Aldford has yet more Salviati mosaics and some beautiful Bernardin windows. So that's for people who come to Chester, that's another destination to go and have a look at. This cycle is dedicated to Thomas and his wife Maria, and it celebrates the theme of women's ministry: woman as messenger, woman as teacher, and woman as sustainer. So if I show you one of these panels in detail, here Phoebe receives St. Paul's letter to the Romans. And in this panel, which is incredibly decorative and is one of my favorites, Priscilla is depicted giving instruction. And finally, in this panel, which is full of geometric pattern, we can see woman as sustainer. All these images are highly intricate and decorative again. Beneath the main panels, we have the Beatitudes written in Mosaic. And then if I move on to the next slide, each of those main panels I showed you is flanked by these standing figures. Angels beneath those figures carry the words love, faith, peace, meekness, and long-suffering. And I've also included here a detail from the border. Really interesting in this cycle, the way all the scenes are framed by these highly decorative borders. Now, this mosaic was quite badly damaged. The panel beneath here is gold foliage on a red ground. And because the cathedral is built of sandstone, damp is a constant challenge throughout the cathedral. And because this mosaic is on an external wall, the damp had come through and it had blown some of the tiles on that lower register, fortunately not the main panels. And it just made me really sad to see, because it was in such a terrible state, really. But luckily in the last couple of years, it's been restored. And it just makes me so happy just to see the way it looks now, restored to its former glory. Now, another fourth mosaic has recently been discovered. When I was in residence before the pandemic, sometimes I used to go and sit in the baptistry on the carpet there, because it's just a little secluded space. And if I just needed a minute to collect my thoughts, it was just somewhere I could go and sit. And I had no idea that I was sitting on top of this mosaic. And then one day, I think it was my last visit, I couldn't go into the baptistry and it was all cordoned off. And I peered over the barrier, and there was a little bit of carpet that had been folded back. And here was this mosaic. And it was such a surprise, but also it's wonderful. It is a geometric design of a fishing net. And within that net are fish and other sea creatures. And then at the sides, on the corners, there are stars and starfish. It's beautiful.
It looks beautiful, yeah. We can only see sort of little bits, but yes, all those fish coming out of the nets and things. It looks amazing, yeah.
It wasn't designed by John Clayton, this one. It was actually designed by a previous dean of the cathedral, Dean Howson, but it was made by Burke and Co, like the other marble mosaics on the nave. And unfortunately, it is in a really fragile state, again, because of this problem with the sandstone and damp and what have you. So I highly recommend actually that people who are watching look at my longer video about the cathedral, because in it, Naomi, the conservator, talks to us about this project to try to restore this piece. And fortunately, she's going to also come and talk to us at the BAM Forum this year.
Which we're, that'd be really interesting to hear all about, this mosaic and how it's been conserved and restored. So yeah, she's at the BAM Forum is going to be on the 9th of October. So yeah, we look forward to hearing more about that.
Yeah, and obviously if people come to visit the cathedral, they can see this restoration in progress. So it's a great opportunity, actually. So this is the chapter house, and this is where we're going to hold our exhibition. It's a beautiful, beautiful room, had very high ceiling, and this vault, I've recently drawn this in with geometry skills, and it's such an interesting design. But also, you see that big stained glass window in the background there. That floods light into this space. So I really believe this is the perfect space for a mosaic exhibition.
Looks lovely. Looks really nice. Yeah,
it is. And for those who are thinking of submitting some work to the exhibition, it's just interesting to see where it'll be housed.
Yeah, very much, because I think, sort of in terms of planning an exhibition, to see, where those things are going to go and how it would all fit in. It's really good to see.
Yeah. Now, here are just a few of my other favourite things from the cathedral. I've had a long interest in the depiction of angels in art, and there are many angels in Chester Cathedral. These are two of my favourites. Here is the stained glass window from the south transept by Powell's. This is the Angel Gabriel, and I just love these beautiful swirling blue wings. It's a fantastic window. And on the other side, these are wooden carvings from the choir of the cathedral. Now, you may be wondering why this angel has this feathery body as well as wings. And I recently learned something about this, that apparently actors in the medieval mystery plays used to wear sort of feathered bodysuits as well as wings as part of their costumes. And these carved angels are dressed in that way. And then this is interesting because Chester is one of the few cities of England still to perform the mystery plays regularly. And so this is just a sort of reference to that heritage, which is great.
Brilliant.
And finally, Trina. So I referred in my video to Trina Cox, who was a local 20th century stained glass artist. She lived in Chester. And I just absolutely love her work. There are more examples at the cathedral and around this area. And I mean, there's Trina Cox glass all over the country, but some particularly fine examples in this area, obviously. Her work uses very vibrant colours and often quite strong patterns, but because she has so much clear glass in her designs, the overall effect is very subtle. I just think they are beautiful, beautiful stained glass windows. And the cloister where these ones are is quite interesting at Chester. It was glazed about 100 years ago because the dean at the time wanted visitors to be warm and cosy. So this glazed cloister, the images on it make up a calendar of the church year that you can follow around the four sides of the cloister. But it's just such an interesting, lovely thing.
Yeah, they're beautiful, really are.
Okay, Rachel, over to you.
So is that's your slides, brilliant. Excellent. Well, I mean, it's been lovely. I've just been sitting here just fascinated by all the different mosaics and the different artwork in the cathedral. It's just so lovely to see them and hear a little bit about the background and some of the stories that go along with those. So let's go on and talk a little bit more then about the exhibition in the cathedral, because you showed us that space, which just looks amazing. A lovely place to have an exhibition. So the title of the exhibition is going to be Constellations. So the title's Constellations. So do you want to tell us just a little bit more about the theme and about your kind of vision for that exhibition?
Yeah, so the theme came about because during the pandemic I've been shielding, and so obviously I was confined to this space, and I realized at some point that if I looked out up into the sky, it made the area available to me much bigger than just here. And I became interested in stargazing. I read several books about the stars, and the idea of constellations really appealed to me because I thought it would just be a great theme for an exhibition. Obviously, you could interpret that as in terms of constellations of stars, celestial bodies. You could interpret it in that way. But equally, you could think about making connections. So it could be the connection between the traditional mosaics that we see in the cathedral and the practice, the things that we make now in mosaic. It could be making connections between objects, between people or places. It just seemed to me to have a lot of scope, really.
It does. It's a very broad, kind of all-encompassing thing. And I love that way, that the setting that we've got all those lovely mosaics in the cathedral, and to have an exhibition of kind of modern contemporary mosaics to sort of see where mosaic was and see where it is now, and make connections between those things. People may be inspired by something that they've seen in the cathedral and create something from that to create that connection between the past and the present. So there's just so much scope within that theme that that people can work on. So yes, that's really exciting. And so the exhibition's planned for February 2022, but there's a bit of planning involved before then. And I think what you're looking for, yourself and Tracy Cartledge is also curating the exhibition with you, is some quite sort of ambitious work to fill the space, because as we've seen, it's quite a big, it's a lovely space. But yeah, just tell us a little bit more about the kind of work that you're looking for.
So we, Tracy and I were part of an exhibition there in 2016, but we were part of a bigger group. So we exhibited alongside other art groups. And it was a really wonderful experience because we exhibited in the South Transept, which is another enormous space. And we learned a lot from that experience. We, as a group of mosaicists, we responded to the building through our work. In fact, Tracy made a beautiful mosaic based on those marble wall mosaics. And because they were substantial pieces, and of course in the cathedral, you're not allowed to attach anything to the walls because it's obviously it's a heritage issue, a conservation issue. We learned a lot about staging an exhibition. And we want to, now that we have this exhibition space all to ourselves in the chapter house, we really want to apply what we've learned to that space. And we think it would be great if we had really ambitious pieces that would fit in an eye-catching way into that space. So the sizes that we're talking about really are sort of maximum size is about 1.2 meters tall by a meter wide, although obviously we can accept smaller pieces. But we would like, when people walk through this, there's a vestibule area before the chapter house, which is a beautiful vaulted space, but quite low ceilings, quite dark. And then you walk into that bright, open, high ceiling chapter house. And we'd really like people to see, really ambitious, eye-catching pieces of work.
Yeah. So this is it's kind of fitting in with like the language of the building effectively, isn't it? To sort of have that, these ambitious mosaic artworks that really kind of catch your eye as you go in. And so the process, if anybody's interested in getting involved in this exhibition, because I say we're still at very kind of the planning stages of it, there's currently a call for submissions open. So it's open to members of BAM, of the British Association for Modern Mosaic. And if you're not a member and you're interested in submitting, you can become a member and submit work as well. But tell us a little bit about the process, because it's a little bit different from some of our previous exhibitions where people just show you the finished piece. What we're looking for at this stage, I understand, is just a kind of proposal of somebody's ideas about what they might like to create.
We'd just like you to tell us, using the form on the Curator Space page, just a little bit about what it is you would like to make, about the materials, about the size, about the theme that you're exploring. And you know, you can include, there is the option of including photographs, but equally you can put your website on there that we can go to, just so we have a picture of your work, of the work you've produced in the past, and just a description of how this will fit into our overall theme, just so that we can imagine really how this is going to look together.
Yeah. So sort of you can kind of create something with, you know, that will work well together, that you've got kind of a good, I guess there's so much range in contemporary mosaic as well, to have sort of a nice variety of different things to kind of show people, showcase what mosaic can be.
Exactly. And also so we can think of how we might stage it so that we show it at its absolute best.
Yeah. So at this stage, you're looking for an idea, and it's free to submit at this point, to submit ideas. And it's really just kind of a description that you're looking for, and just some examples of that person's work to give you an idea of kind of where they're at. And I'm aware that some people might find that process say a little bit different, maybe a little bit intimidating compared to just, you know, your finished piece of work. And it's not intended to be that way. It's really just, I guess you're saying it's looking for work that's specifically designed for this exhibition and made for this exhibition, and just to kind of show us a little bit about, you know, just some ideas at this point, so that you can curate kind of the full exhibition. Is that right?
That's it. Yeah, that's it, exactly. And also, we don't want people to feel intimidated at all. You know, it's open to everyone at whatever stage they're at in their mosaic journey. We just want people to feel just that we just want to know their thought processes, just to help us with the exhibition, but not at all to make them feel intimidated. That's not what we want to do.
Yeah. So we encourage everybody who might be interested in submitting in this space to take part. And I think, you know, we're still in the planning stages of perhaps for the BAM forum as well, having a piece that we might be able to get as a kind of constellations group, you know, everybody making a little bit, that we can kind of come together and put together a larger piece as well. So that might be an option for people to be able to participate, even if they don't do a full piece of work.
That's it, exactly. Yes.
So we're really keen to encourage, you know, as many people as possible to kind of get involved and behind this exhibition.
Yeah, and it will be so lovely as well to be able to exhibit in person after having had this break, where, you know, maybe we've had online exhibitions or whatever, you know. So that's the other thing. Yeah, we'd love to see a really vibrant exhibition in a lovely space, because, you know, it shows mosaic off at its very best.
Exactly. Yeah. So if people are interested in submitting, I think it's July is the middle of July is the deadline for ideas. But before then, if people are in the area, you're also running some tours of the cathedral, so people can kind of come and see the building for themselves, and look at those mosaics and the other artwork and be inspired. So tell us a little bit about that, because I think is there a Heritage Week next week or something as well, tying in with that?
So these are bookable. They're free events. They're bookable through Eventbrite, which I know the link is going to be beneath the video. We are offering the 22nd and the 30th as the dates, and there's 2 time slots on those days. And Tracy and I will show you around the cathedral. We'll show you the things we've talked about today, and hopefully, you know, that will be an inspiring experience. But also next week, for the 22nd, that whole week in Chester is Heritage Open Week. And you will be able, in the cathedral particularly, to see the stonemason at work. There are some tours as well offered through the cathedral. There's the opportunity to see the baptistry mosaic, to see the polychron, which I again mentioned in the video. So that's, you know, that would be a good opportunity if you can make it on that date.
Yeah, sounds like a lovely opportunity. And for those that can't, as I say, you've had a taste of the mosaics that are in the cathedral from Alita's slideshow today, from the video, and there is a longer version of that video we showed earlier on our YouTube channel as well, that includes that interview with Naomi as well. So there's and I think we were saying that some of those images are available for people to look at. We've got a link, I think, for your images, and also for visiting Chester Cathedral as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Their websites, which is also a good source of information about the cathedral and things as well.
Definitely. I've got my Flickr page, which people can access a lot of my images on. So yeah, there's lots of material that can be accessed. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, was there anything else that you wanted to mention about the exhibition, or other aspects of the mosaics at all? I think we've covered everything, but I just wanted to double check if there's anything from your end that I've forgotten to ask you about.
No, I think that's it. And obviously I just urge people, watch the longer video, have a look at some of the resources we've recommended. And you can always contact Tracy or myself through Curator Space. If you've got any doubts or difficulties, or you just want to run through anything with us, we'd be delighted to talk to you about it.
Yeah, as I say, very, very open to, you think I've got this idea, but I'm not sure whether it's good enough or whatever.
Absolutely.
But please do get in touch, talk to us about
Definitely.
it, because as I say, we're really keen to hear from people from, the early stages of making mosaic to, experienced people who've been doing it for a long time. So yeah, please.
Yeah, and we're more than happy to talk to whoever wants to chat to us.
Yeah, we'll talk to anybody.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for joining me today, Alita. It's been really interesting talking to you, just hearing those mosaics, and the whole building is just so fascinating. And what we've covered today is really just kind of scratching the surface, really, of what's there. And to say, if you are interested in hearing more, if you're in the area in the next couple of weeks, you can go and take a tour, with Alita or Tracy, or even, visit it in your own time. The opening times are all on the cathedral website.
That's important, actually. The cathedral is now open every day, and there are full details of that on the cathedral website. So if you are in the area and it's not a day that we're doing a tour, definitely go along and have a look, and lots to see in there, and generally around Chester.
So yeah, and if you are interested in, as I say, in hearing more about the restoration of that lovely mosaic that Alita was talking about, look out for more announcements about the band forum, because Naomi will be speaking at that. And yeah, if you want to see good images and read a bit more about the other mosaic, the marble mosaics, there's that edition of Andamento as well. So there's lots of links, and we'll put them all in the description below the video as well, so you can connect with everything. So thanks, Alita. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope everybody found it really interesting and enjoyed hearing all about the mosaics.
Thank you very much.
Okay.